Well, hey there, and welcome to the Experience Podcast. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Danlee. We are two besties hanging out and sharing our experiences in a friendship.
So sit down, get comfortable, and enjoy. Well, hey there. Welcome to the Experience Podcast. It's Brittany and Danlee. We are recording our last episode of the season, and we wanted to talk about grief and loss, and especially the floods that just happened in Kerr County. This is a subject that's really close to our hearts that we really thought was important, especially for the time right now. All of our opinions are our own. We're just wanting to share our experience with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think grief and loss is something that so many people have dealt with and everyone eventually will deal with.
Right.
So it's really valid. And I think we've felt a lot of support from each other. And so maybe this can be a moment for whoever's listening to hopefully feel some support or connection, or just know that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had, like Brittany said, we've had this topic kind of on our minds. And with the recent flooding in central Texas, there's stirred up a lot of feelings, right? Like a lot of emotions and loss and grieving. And so I was just reading. So today is the 18th of July. So it's been a couple weeks now since the July 4th floods. And at this time, or as of yesterday, there were 133 people total that have been counted dead in the Hill Country and Central Texas area due to the floods, including 70 adults and 37 children from the Guadalupe River. And at least 97 people are still missing. The waters rose over 27 feet in a matter of 45 minutes, and heavily impacted areas were Hunt, Ingram, Kerrville, Center Point, Comfort. And then also there were some areas closer to where we live that had a lot of flooding, San Gabriel River and surrounding areas, Georgetown, Burnett, Leander, and the Sandy Creek. So being from Kerrville, I'm from Kerrville. My husband, Francis, and I are both from Kerrville. Our friend Carissa is from Kerrville, like so many of us are. Thankfully, I didn't experience a direct loss, and I'm so happy about it. Because,
my gosh.
So just seeing all the stories from everyone that we know who have felt a direct loss. And so it just is heartbreaking. It's so shattering.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across this post on Instagram about collective grief, and I just thought it really hit home. So I just wanted to read a little bit from it. Collective grief is the word for what so many of us have been feeling in the days following the Texas Hill Country tragedy. It's the emotional response that occurs when we experience a tragic event as a shared humanity. We feel sorrow as a community, as a nation, and as a whole together. And that is exactly what we would expect. Even though it is so painful, it's valid and it's deeply humane.
It's like this kind of vibe that you feel. It's like this just somber feel like all throughout Texas right now.
Yes.
You know, and I guess that's what collective grief is, you know?
Yeah, and I had never heard that term. And I thought, that's exactly what we're experiencing, because it hurts so deeply to see the communities around us, the community I'm from, just completely uprooted. And everyone who's just lost people is just absolutely horrible. So a little more from that. One of the most important things is validating and normalizing what parents are feeling. So this is a post from Two Truths Motherhood. And a lot of the people who lost people lost kids. And so I think a lot of parents feel a lot of grief for the other parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to imagine. It's okay to feel impacted even when you don't know the victim personally. Grief can still find its way in. That seems simple, but it's actually one of the most important ways to cope. We cope via connection. The pain and anxiety of grief expand and multiply in aloneness. Grieve is a verb, and one of the necessary steps is what can I do? And I really liked that part of this post because the emphasis on togetherness, that it is part of healing and going through grief is having support and having each other. And I know we've felt that together before.
Right.
And being alone, it can be very isolating. And I think that's also, so one of the things that our friend group did recently was we collected like supplies and donations and delivered them to an impacted area nearby. And that felt good because we were doing it together. It was like a
Yeah.
project that we cared about and we delivered it together and it felt good. And I got to involve my kids and I really thought that was great for them to go through too. I've always been really honest with them about grieving and loss because
Hmm.
unfortunately they've already seen a lot of it. And so I thought it would be good for them to go through those steps too, even if they didn't fully understand the impact of what happened.
Yeah. I also really love seeing on social media like everybody getting out and like helping clean up and just all hands on deck. Like everybody's helping out in the way that they can. And I really think that's so cool how
Yeah.
people can really come together, especially with all the differences and everybody's fighting
Yeah.
nowadays and everything.
So true. I think that's one of the great things about the state of Texas is like there's some really good people here. And I think we all like feel like we're all a very tight community, right? And you've got
Mhm.
everybody coming out. I mean, there's been so many donations and so many local businesses that have donated their profits and it still are here
Yeah.
out giving. And it's so cool to see that level of giving because it's needed. It's really
Mhm.
and it's making a difference.
Yeah. Well, I met the owner of Murray's Tavern in Nickel City, Travis Tober, and his group, his restaurant, they've been going out and like serving the Nickel City like burgers, sliders and stuff. And they've been going out and he was like, we're going back out this week. So like they're like headed out next week to go back and like finish like, providing free food for people and the first responders and cleanup crew and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, that's so cool. Like someone like coming from Austin that didn't even get directly affected is still like he's going out and like got his whole crew, his restaurant, I'm like, he has a platform and he's using it for good. And I love seeing people like that. Like, that's where I want to go spend my money.
Absolutely. Yes. It's like you need to feed your family. Okay, go buy your dinner from a place that's going to support. There's so many opportunities like that right now. And I know we've all been watching out for those locally. In Austin, there's so many restaurants. Like, it's just amazing the level of
Hmm.
that's going on. I think another feeling I have from the flooding is something my mom and I talked about the guilt of survivorship, the
Okay.
feeling of, these people were affected in this way, but I'm going on and I'm living like happily and indirectly impacted. And you kind of feel guilty about that.
Right.
And that makes me kind of want to segue into the part of the episode where we want to talk about personal loss a little bit.
Okay.
Guilt has been a huge part of my grieving.
Really? Like with your sister?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm
Yeah,
so
just
sorry.
guilt of things you wish you had done differently.
Yeah.
And also guilt of survivorship.
Right.
She was really sick towards the end of her life, and I already had guilt that I could do things that she couldn't do. And then now, living on after her, I have guilt that I have my family and she lost hers.
Right.
So I lost my sister in June of 2023. So it's been 2 years and it is like definitely the hardest thing I've ever gone through.
Hmm.
And still are going through.
Right.
You never stop. And I think aside from that being the worst day of my life, losing her, watching my parents lose her was also incredibly difficult.
Right.
Grieving for them has been sad. My daughter was present with me, or my older daughter, at the time that she passed. And I know that that has impacted her. They were very close. My daughter's been very there for me, and she's only 6. So that's kind of crazy, but I find a lot of comfort in her. We find a lot of comfort in each other. Francis, my husband, lost his mom in 2022, and that was a big loss for my daughter as well. And when we cried together, like she comforted me, and that was
Oh,
just like the sweetest thing.
that's so mature for her age.
I know, and I just thought kind of bad. Like, I hope there's no pressure on her to make me feel better, but I don't think she felt that. I think she was just doing it because it felt right
Yeah.
and it worked and it helped. I think I've also struggled with grieving from the loss of my sister because we had a complicated relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something a lot of people could probably connect with as well. It's not a black and white process when you lose somebody and how you should feel and if it's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that thing about feeling guilt. I read once that, you know, maybe instead of convincing yourself that everything you did was okay, maybe you just learned to accept it, that maybe it wasn't okay. And how are you going to handle that now?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that, you know, with Micah, my sister, we fought a lot towards the end of her life and it made things challenging. It made me not want to be around her as much.
Mm-hmm.
But all she wanted was to be near me. So that was really complicated, but she could be really hurtful and it made me not want to be near her and things like that. And so now that she's gone, like looking back at those times, it's just really challenging.
I wonder if that's something like people that know they're dying, they go through like anger because my mom did that too. Like we fought a lot right before she passed.
Yeah.
So that it's just interesting that you like bring that up because I don't know if that's something that like maybe they just get like anger is just part of their coping for them knowing that they're not gonna be here much longer. Like I don't know, it's just a thought, but
Yeah, I think different people have different perspectives on like death and life in general, right? Like for contrast, I can talk about Mimi, Francis's mom, and
mhm,
even like in the extreme level of pain and everything that she felt in the end of her cancer battle, she still had this like really positive perspective in life. And I tried not to cry around her because I didn't want to make her sad that I was
mhm,
sad.
right.
But you know, sometimes you can't help it and you tear up or whatever. And she would just tell me, everything's fine, honey. Like my destiny has always been my destiny and it's gonna be okay. And that's
Wow.
just so different, right? Than how like your mom and my sister felt at the end,
Mhm.
it seems.
Yeah, she was much more accepting and like okay with how she was going to end up.
Yeah.
Which also is very sad too, because that means that she had to psychologically, mentally go through all of those thoughts and feelings and process them just to be okay,
Yeah.
you know? So it's just like that's another level of intensity that I
Yeah.
think Mimi had to go through just to be accepting of her own fate.
Yeah. And she had just lost her mom, Francis's grandmother, 2 months or yeah, 2 months before she passed. So the last 2 months of her life, she had a lot of grief too.
Hmm.
Like that, you know, it's mom, it's your mom.
Yeah,
So she was really sad. And part of me wonders is if that's why like her battle ended sooner. Like maybe the sadness or the grief was hard for her.
maybe.
But yeah, Mimi, I mean, she was leaving a lot behind too. Like she left 3 sons. My sister left 2 children, 13 and 10 now. They were 8 and 11 when she died. And I watched them watch her die too. And like that was just like the worst thing ever, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and so there's a whole nother like door of this new. I feel like there's the me before she died, and then there's the me after she died. And
Yeah.
after she died, obviously I'm changed, like because of the grief and sadness and things like that. But
Hmm.
there's been a lot of dynamics that have changed in my family too. My mom is raising the kids, and they don't have parents, and it is really sad to see that.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to be there for them as much as possible. And I feel a little torn sometimes because I'm also trying to prioritize my own children and my family.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge challenge with all of this for me.
Is that something that you struggle with like on a daily basis kind of thing, or how does that like when does that kind of hit you?
Yeah, I think so. My mom, I mean, she definitely turns to me the most when she can't do something or needs something. And I want her to. Like, it's not that I don't want that. It's just, you know, it's a new part of life.
Right.
Before I kind of end with those thoughts that I wanted to share about what I've dealt with, I just wanted to say that some of the things that have helped me, like we were saying with the flooding, support of the community, is how big of a deal it has been that my friends have been here for me.
Mm-hmm.
You and Leslie and Carissa and Angel and others unmentioned, like people have been incredibly supportive in different ways. And especially knowing how complicated things were, it's like you kind of see more of it than maybe many people even know about. But
Mm-hmm.
like right after Micah passed, you helped me go through and help figure out some of her accounts and some of the administrative stuff that no one's thinking about needing to do because you
Mm-hmm.
had just gone through it. So you
Yeah.
were able to help me with that, and your experience helped you do that. And Leslie was just willing to take the kids at the drop of a hat. Just, I told her I needed her because I couldn't like stand,
Yeah.
Uh, and she was there and took the kids immediately, all of them.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. You were like, they're at the water park.
Yeah, it was so great. But it helps so much to just be able to just focus on myself. And that's been a journey too, figuring out
Yeah.
how to prioritize my own self and not just my family, but become healthier. I went to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety, and it's been a journey, but I do think that some progress has happened, and that feels really good.
Yeah. Well, it's really one of those things that sounds so cheesy, but time really does make the biggest difference because you learn. My cousin's wife, I asked her because she's lost both of her parents and she lost her mom at a really young age too. And, I was like, how do you deal with this? Like, this hurts so bad. Like, the pain that you feel when you lose somebody is just unbearable. And I asked her, I was like, how do you do this? How do you live life? And she was like, honestly, you just learn to deal with it. It doesn't necessarily get better. You just learn to deal with it. And I was like, okay, all right, here we go. Roller coaster on. Let's go.
And you never know when this stuff is going to hit, right? Like
Yeah.
you feel like, okay, I'm having a happy day. And then you hear a song or someone says something or you see a picture and you're just like,
Yes, yes. Yeah. I mean, I have, because I talk to my mom every day. That was something that, like, I considered her my best friend, like, she basically raised me. Like, my dad was always working. So it was just my mom and I growing up. So it was just, we were like, two peas in a pod. And when she passed, the absence, I felt her absence like really hard. And that was something that was like, okay, you're not just grieving the loss of a person, but now I'm grieving the loss of like having someone to talk to every day, like my whole daily pattern of like texting and calling my mom in the car on the way home from work, like that's gone. So I'm like, obviously I know I have you, but it was just different because like it's your mom.
yeah, I can't
Yeah.
imagine because I still have my mom and get to talk to her and I'm so thankful for that. And
Yeah.
I just like cannot imagine. And that's what I felt too when I saw Francis lose his mom. I'm just like,
It's just so different losing a parent. Like I can't imagine losing a sister or a kid or anything like that. Like I don't have siblings and I don't have children, so I can't, that's a harder reach for me to feel, but like losing a parent is just so hard because like you were like your parents raised you. You relied on your parents for growth and nutrients and everything growing up, and then for them to be in such a vulnerable spot and then just die, like it's just it's really hard because you're like, wait, that's not how life is supposed to work. Like
we're supposed to be here. Yeah.
you're supposed to live a long life and die when you're old.
Yeah. I mean, Micah died when she was 31, and I
Yeah.
just never thought, we're 11 months apart. I never thought that I would have my life without her. Like, I just thought she would always be there.
Right.
And so that's been a weird change for me too, is just learning what our life is like without that person. That's so,
Yeah.
so strange.
Well, it was really hard with Micah because she complained a lot of the time, and I know she was in pain, but it was really hard to tell what was real. So I
Yeah.
feel like it was really hard for us to kind of grasp, and especially you, like, grasping, like, okay, how serious really is this?
So it
So
was
I feel like
important to judge. Yeah.
I feel like when she passed, you were so shocked. Like, you were just so taken aback.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a shock. That is true.
Yeah. My mom, like, the shock with her was that we didn't know she was as sick as she was. Like, we knew she was sick. She was diagnosed in 2017, but my mom was a nurse and we thought that she had it under control. Like, I thought that she was going to her doctor's appointments and, we all, like, daddy and I trusted her, like, you're doing the right thing. And then all of a sudden, I was at your house and I get the call that mom is in the hospital, and I got to FaceTime her for a second, but I was still kind of mad at her because she had said some mean things to me.
Mhm.
And so I got to FaceTime her for a little bit, and she was like, "Don't worry, like, I'll be fine." And I'm like, "Okay." And then, like, the next morning or the next day, I get a call from my dad saying that she's, like, intubated in the hospital. And so she went from, like, she, like, lost it real quick and she lost like 4 quarts of blood, like all this kind of stuff. And then they had to intubate her, and then that was it, you know? She was intubated for 10 days. And then I think the biggest thing for me, like, I know when somebody passes and you're physically there, the visualization of it is really hard.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was there when they took the tube out, and that was just it was horrible to watch. Like, first off, that stuff grosses me out anyway. So I was grossed out and sad at the same time. So I'm like crying and gagging at the same time. It's just a mess.
Mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions for sure. Yeah. So it was just, yeah, grief is really hard. And I want to go over the stages of grief.
Yeah.
So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So I remember being in denial, and I definitely was angry. Like,
Yeah.
I think for me, being angry was like the biggest one. Like, I was angry at like everyone around me. I think I was more so like angry at myself for not, like, because I kept thinking like there's something else I could have done.
Yeah.
You know, I could have made sure that she actually went to her doctor's appointments. I could have made sure that she actually got her labs done. I could have made sure that she was taking her medicine. Like, I could have done these things. And so I was angry at myself for not having stepped up more.
Yeah. I felt some anger too. I can connect with those feelings. I
Yeah,
I think I was mad at Micah, and this kind of stuff is hard to even say out loud, but I was mad at her for not taking better care of herself. I do think some
right.
things were out of her control. Her medical history is complicated, but after she had COVID in 2020, she developed an adrenal gland insufficiency and she did not produce natural cortisol anymore. And so she started steroids, like, and stayed on them until she died. Anyway, the steroids had, terrible side effects. And
Right.
she went through phases of being able to control it and phases of not being able to control those side effects. And in the end, I felt like she really gave up on herself, which was so hard to understand because I watched her cry and cry about leaving her kids, how sad that was that she was preparing for that. But I felt
Right.
like she wanted to go too. I felt like she was making that choice. Like, she did things that maybe sped it up.
Yeah.
She wrote this book, this horrible book. I don't mean horrible like she's a bad writer. I just mean it's like I can't look at it. But while she was going through those few years before she died, it was things that she was experiencing. There's stuff in there about me, her family. She was going
Mhm.
through a divorce then too, and that was really sad. Anyway, reading back and thinking back, definitely right when she passed, I was mad because I just thought, you've left me and my
Mhm.
mom to deal with so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of got dumped on.
Yeah, not that I don't want to take care of my niece and nephew because I love them. It's just a lot to process, and it was very overwhelming. And I just was really mad at her. I was really mad at her, and I still sometimes am. I think that was like a big stage for me at the beginning, but then now it kind of comes and goes. You know?
Right. Well, she kind of left you with a bunch of admin stuff to do, like all of the extra, like any like sort of paperwork and the legalities of everything. She kind of like left it open for you to figure it out.
Yeah, it's been a major challenge, and I know people. That's something a lot of people can probably connect with in a way. I do feel like I have had a lot to deal with administratively after her passing, but I also know that everyone has to do that in some way too,
Yeah.
wrap up loose ends and things like that and figure out the status of everything. And that's just really hard while you're grieving, right? Like you're sad and you want to be able to just be sad and not have a list of tasks to do.
Yeah.
Don't go away, nothing stops.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a weird feeling because you are kind of like what you just said, like you're trying to grieve,
Yeah.
but then you have all this other stuff that you've got to do and you have to just kind of suck it up. Connie, my godmother, she was really great at helping us, like being there for us because she was also a nurse and she was my mom's best friend and she was able to kind of come in and like help us and everything. But in turn, for her, it means that her grieving got delayed because she also ended up having a passing after passing too. So she was like dealing with my mom's passing and then like other family members of hers that passed. And I just remember talking to her and I was like, do you even have time to grieve? Like, have you been able to grieve? And she was like, not really.
Yeah. What were the other stages of grief?
Okay, so denial, we talked about anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Bargaining, I don't know that I've done. So, attempting to negotiate with a higher power or fate, often involving a what if and only statements in an effort to regain control. Oh, yeah, I guess I kind of did that.
Yeah.
The what ifs and if only.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. If that's it, the what ifs, yeah. They've definitely been there. And I know that my mom feels the same way too. She cared for Micah. She lived with her and cared for her until the end. And I just heard her say so many times that she wished she had done this and wished she had done that. And every time we talk through it, I think we get to the same ending. We get to this result. So it is, that kind of ties in with the guilt too, right? Like trying not to feel the guilt, accepting what happened, stop what ifing, because what does it matter?
Right.
I will say, and I know that you're not religious, but for me, having God in my life has been a huge part of my ability to cope. I do a lot of praying for myself, for the kids. I've prayed so much for the families impacted by the flooding in Kerrville. Yeah, I just think that's a kind of a relationship that with God, that's like a person to talk to, and,
right.
It's been, nothing's ever going to make these feelings better, but it's just been a way of getting through it, and
yeah.
And also for me, again, I know we don't have the same beliefs, but I do believe that I'll see my sister again one day. And I think her kids will see her too. And that will see Mimi. And that is really comforting. And I'm glad that I have that.
Yeah. I definitely believe that there's like a higher, like there's something out there that's like bigger than us. Like I definitely don't believe that there's just us on this planet. Like we have this gigantuan universe. Like there's got to be other, like other higher powers or something going on. But I definitely believe, like old animals and my mom. I feel like no matter what, like when I pass, my soul will meet theirs again. However that happens in whatever world that, that ends up in. But I definitely believe in stuff like that.
And that's comforting to you, right?
Yeah, it is. And I know, like, for me, I feel like my mom is watching over me, even though I don't really have moments of, that's my mom, I did see a dragonfly outside the other day and I was like, Mommy,
That's really sweet.
but otherwise I don't really have like moments where like I have dreams and, anytime I have a dream with my mom, we're in a fight,
Yeah.
So I just like, I wish I could let go of that anger and be able to have nice, positive dream about my mom.
Yeah. I've had a dream about my sister. Good and bad ones too, but it is cool to dream about them. And especially if it's good, because you kind of wake up and feel like you were with them,
Yeah.
And that's so great to feel. Yeah. But then the fighting dreams can be really hard too, because then it, again, just stirs up some of those really confusing feelings.
Well, it makes me feel like there's unresolved issues and things like that that I need to work on.
Yeah.
But obviously, I don't have my mom to resolve those issues, hash it out in person. I just wish there was a way for me to, when I have a dream and my mom's in my dream, I want it to be happy. I do not want to fight with her. It's always like I'm trying to tell her something and she doesn't believe me. And so I get really frustrated
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you don't understand. This is how I feel, and this is what happened. Why are you not believing me? And it's just this constant cycle of her not believing or her fighting with me and then me fighting with her back. And it's just a circle. And so I wake up like exhausted, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I know
So,
that you've dealt with depression and anxiety over the past few years too. And I'm sure like that
yeah.
kind of thing, I mean, if that's happening, if you're dreaming and you're waking up exhausted, uh,
Yeah.
that's not going to help, right? It's just,
No. Well,
yeah,
I've had depression since I was little. I used to just call it funks. I would have like a really bad, I guess, dopamine dip or whatever you call it. And so I would end up having little funks where it would just last a day or something. And so I'd just be really sad for no reason. Like I didn't have a reason behind why I was sad. And
yeah,
then as I got older, the depression really started to kind of kick in. And then obviously after my mom passed, the depression got even worse. And then the anxiety started to kick in. And then I've just had even over the past year, it's just, I feel like every year since my mom passed, it just keeps getting worse,
yeah.
and I'm on different medications and seeing a therapist and my psychiatrist and trying to pin it all down. But it's really hard to adult when you're super depressed.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen you go through this, and I know that it's hard for you. Like I can see it.
Mhm.
I want to be there for you as much as possible. I know that you've dealt with this for a long time, and there's obviously no easy fix, right? Or you would have found it
I know.
probably. But I hope that you feel support. And yeah, I know it's hard.
Now I'm gonna cry.
I know. I was like, oh, I'm not going to cry on this episode. And then I'm like, oh, this is
I'm
hard.
kind of glad I didn't wear makeup because I just rubbed my eyeballs.
These things are so hard to talk about. It's so
It
true.
is, yeah. Well, and especially kind of like rehashing because it's been a few years since we both lost somebody. I mean, obviously, I know you're going through everything right now with the flooding. So that's different emotions that you're dealing with. But in terms of like us losing somebody that we directly knew, it's been a while, and it's so interesting how it still affects you as almost just as bad as it did when they first passed.
It does. I mean, very true. And while some things get a little easier, I think something that gets harder for me is the more time that passes, the more distant that person feels. And I
Yeah.
don't want to imagine myself being 60 and having, almost 30 years pass since I saw my sister last. Like, that's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And I just don't want it to happen, But
Yeah.
so that is a bad thing about time, even though time can be a good thing.
Hmm.
That's a tough one. I remember the first New Year's. So this is another one of those weird moments that you don't expect to feel something. But the first New Year's after Micah passed, I just, I love Christmas. Like I was having, even though it was a hard Christmas, I was enjoying Christmas. And then oddly, New Year's hit me like this super depressing night and the next day. And I was just like, why am I just so sad? And I just thought, well, next on January 1st, I thought, well, now Micah passed last year. Now it last year. Like
Yeah.
instead of a few months ago or whatever, now it's like, you're in the next calendar year. And I don't know why that was so sad to me, but I just felt like, wow, she's been away from me for that long. And I don't want to keep going without her,
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. The
Yeah.
timing of it.
Also weird, yes. But, you've done therapy. I've done therapy. That's something I just wanted to like emphasize. I know we both like believe in therapy. You helped me find my therapist right after Micah passed. And that was, such a helpful thing. You did the research for me. You knew what I was
Yeah.
looking for, and you found me a few people to reach out to. And actually, I think you even emailed them for me. Like you
Yeah,
said,
I emailed a couple people for you. Yeah.
that is just having someone there for you that's willing to do something like that is so special. And so when I try to think of things to say, what would you tell somebody who's going through something like this? Something
Oh, wow.
I think of just letting them know you're there. And even if you
Yeah.
can't think of a specific task like that, like let me email a therapist for you. If that's not what's going on, like just listen, just answer the phone or just sit next to them on the couch while they cry. Just having someone just being there for the person, I think is a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question in general. Just like, what do you do for somebody that's grieving, or going through something? Because really, the main thing is you lose somebody, you're going to be in your head 24/7. You
Yeah.
know, you're not necessarily thinking about what you need. You're barely thinking about, bro, I haven't had dinner. You know, maybe I should eat something. You know, you're hardly even thinking about nourishing your body.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I always hated it when people are like, "How are you doing?"
Like, shitty. How are you?
I'm doing terrible.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the little actions like that, that's why I wanted to make sure I was there for you. I didn't want to ask you how you felt because I knew you felt like shit. And, you know, just I think the main thing is like showing up, you know, and like you said, maybe just listening. Maybe that's the biggest thing. Just let them sit there and cry and talk about it. You know, I think the biggest thing is each person is different. So each person is going to need something different as well.
I mean, that's such a good point. Yeah. We're not all built the same way. Our brains don't work the same way. We grieve differently. The stages of grief, like you said, we felt some of them, maybe not others. Yeah, everyone's very different. Our friend Leslie also lost her mother recently.
Yeah, that was really sad too.
Yeah, I mean, it was both fast and expected. I feel like she knew it was coming and she went and visited her because she lives out of state. So she was kind of preparing for it, but it was still very sad, you know, when it happened. And she texted
Mhm.
me that she was gone. And I saw the message like in the morning when I woke up. And it was the day where we were both getting ready for work. We're neighbors, you know, like just dropped my phone and just like went to her, you know. And I was like, I don't know if this is what you want or not, but you're going to know at least that I really care about you.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
I mean, that was a hard day for her too. And I've told you this, but you know, the day that your mom passed was, I think, probably one of the saddest days of my life too, because it was so hard to see you go through that.
Well, you also lost someone the same day.
My great grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, yeah, it was such a weird day. It
Yeah.
was such a,
Well, I remember I couldn't sleep and they had just put her on hospice after taking the tube out. And I thought I'd be able to go back to the hospital the next day and see her, but she passed. She ended up passing at 2 a.m. She didn't even last that long on hospice. And it just kills me knowing that she passed in a room by herself and I like wasn't there. That hurts me so much. Cause like,
well, has anyone told you, like, I've heard this many times that they kind of wait for the moment that they want to go. Like maybe she didn't want you to see that. How you were saying watching them take the tube out and everything like that was so hard for you. Maybe she didn't want you to be there at that moment because she knew how
maybe.
hard it could be. I was really sad. Well, I feel like I've accepted it though. But like when Mimi passed, we had spent a lot of time with her. Kind of, you know, when they're on hospice, you're just kind of hanging out and it could happen anytime. So we were just like sitting with her on her deathbed and we left and got breakfast tacos and came back and she was dead.
Oh my God. She waited till you left the house.
Yeah, me and Francis left, and I was just like, you know, that's okay. Maybe that was the time that she wanted to go to, you know? So I accepted that. And I think Micah probably waited until we were all there because she wanted everyone to be
Yeah.
watching.
Like it's like, watch me die.
Like, everyone stand right here and watch
Everyone, this is my show now.
Micah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes you feel better or not, but that's at least something
Yeah.
that helped me.
I mean, I've thought about that. I'm like, maybe she did wait, but I just don't know that she was ready to die. You know, I don't think she was ready to, but I mean, she drank herself to death. So what are you going to do about it?
Yep. The damage was done, wasn't it?
The damage was done. Yeah. Yeah. You can't really reverse cirrhosis after a certain point.
Yeah, yeah, that's a rough one. Well, I just want to say that Brittany and I are here for any of you. I know that sounds cheesy, but is willing to talk or listen.
Same.
So you can reach out if you want to text, if you want to call or whatever. We're here for you. And we're sorry for the grief that anyone listening has felt. I know that it's really hard. I continue to pray every day for all the losses that have occurred recently. And I know that those families have a really long journey ahead of them. And even though it's been 2 weeks since the floods and the news has died down a little bit and things like that, these families' lives are changed forever. And they're starting that journey of healing or just accepting or any of the stages, right?
Right.
Um, Yeah, that's what we hope that you all will gain from listening to this today, is just maybe feeling some support.
Yeah,
We care.
I agree. Ditto.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I know this was a heavier subject, but I feel like grief, I feel like anytime there's something heavy going on, I feel like we need to talk about it. You can't really internalize things. Otherwise, you're going to implode,
For sure.
you
And I
know?
think that we've kicked this can down the road a lot. I know we've talked about talking about grief on the podcast since we
Yeah,
started the podcast. And it's the one that we just keep on not wanting to talk about because it's really, really hard.
it's really sad.
So we did it, and this was tough, but I think it was good too. I'm happy that we did.
Yeah, I feel like this was like a little therapy session today.
Yeah, it kind of was, right? So end of season 2. It's been a really cool season, and thanks everyone for all the support and listening, and we love you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time on
The Experience Ship Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
And if you're feeling fancy, leave us a review wherever you stream.
Bye.